Well, here's what we have going on today. We've got one job left on the combine, and that is up in the headliner of the cab, which we'll jump up in there in a second. We've got corn and wheat. The mice must have brought it up in there or something. There isn't any other way that it could have gotten up in there. So I'm in the middle of getting the headliner out of the cab. I got the instrument panel here all pulled down, the radio and all that crap. Got some of the stuff taken apart from the back side of the headliner here, and here we'll just, you guys can listen to this. So there's corn and wheat up in there, so we got to pull the headliner down, get that all vacuumed out, and then we can pull this damn thing out of the shop. So this little L8000 Ford, that's just about done. Jared has got the transmission all into this. He finished this here last night, so this has got a Reman automatic transmission in it, and all he has left to do is to put the exhaust back onto it here. It's just got a muffler that lays in alongside the frame rail here, so he's got to get that in there, and then we'll pop out the other side here and we'll take a glance at the 4620 that he's working on here. So this is the the 4620 that he took the head off of. They've got the valve cover gasket, or the valve cover itself, all cleaned up, and let's see here, they've got the block all cleaned up as well. The lower part of this engine is in good shape, so that doesn't need to be bothered with. However, the head, and he's got all the valves and rockers and everything else pulled out of it. Exhaust manifolds laying on the floor, and they've got the intake manifold right there. The head, he took that to a machine shop. He actually took it here to Syracuse Crank, and the head had been repaired a couple times before. It had cracks in it, and the surface that needs to be planed, there's not enough material left there, so he had to buy a new head for it. I don't know if he bought a Reman head or a new one, but that's supposed to be in sometime the end of this week, and then they're going to get that slowly back together here. So that ought to run like a top dollar when he gets done with it. I just had a gasket that was leaking on this side, and it was just weeping out oil and everything else, so it ended up having more wrong with it than just the head gasket. So we're going to get back on the combine. I'm not having too much fun up in that cab there, and we need to pull the 8110 in. We've got what do we got to do that? We've got to put thermostats in it, and we've got some panels to put on the side of the hood that rotted out from back when we put a coolant reservoir in it. When we took the hood off, the pieces were rotted out enough that I ended up ordering new ones, and we should have replaced the thermostats then, but we didn't know it had a problem. It's not building any heat, so the thermostats must be stuck open. So let's get back on getting that combine cleaned out. Alright, we've got the 8110 in here, got the hood off of it. We're getting ready to swap the thermostats out on it, but we've got to go over next door. We've got an overhead door that we go in and out of with the vac truck, and that's not working, so we're going to work on that for a second, get that going, so that the guys can get that in and out of here without any trouble. We go in and out of that a couple times a day, and that door gets about the most use. Now, the overhead doors on this side of the building, they've got the operator is right up there in the ceiling, and then it's got chain that pulls the door back and forth and whatever. But in this building next door, we've got a limited amount of headroom, so we don't have the track that's in the center that has the opener, you know, backaways. The openers are running right off the jack shaft. There's the motor for that door, the motor for this door, and then this motor here runs the door so we can get the vac truck in and out. So the motor was just freewheeling, and they ended up unlocking it so that they could open the door by hand. So this is running, but nothing's turning up there. So I can see that sprocket on the cable winding shaft is just turning. So we're going to let that complete this cycle here, back in the down position. We'll let that finish itself out. It stopped. So we're going to look around here. I think the keyway fell out of it, and usually that just falls down on the ground here. There it is, right there. So we're just going to put this keyway in. Goes in the sprocket. That shaft is a keyed shaft, and every once in a while we have this damn keyway fall out, but we're not going to have it fall out anymore. Alright, so here is the keyed shaft here. And then of course the sprocket has went past it a little bit, so we're just going to unplug this. And we're going to run this sprocket around, run this pulley around to where this keyway will slide in. Alright, so the set screw has loosened up, so here, I'm going to shine some light in on it here. So we just slid the keyway in on the shaft right here, and then there's the set screw. But that, for whatever reason, because of all the use this door gets, that set screw keeps loosening up on us. So we're going to tighten that in. Get my tools out here. Alright, so that should be tight. Setting in place anyways. Alright, so that's tight there. I'm just going to weld this. So I've got the army truck sitting outside the door. We're just going to put a bead of weld on here to keep that frickin' keyway from falling out, because I'm getting sick and tired of working on this here. Alright, so that's down where it needs to be. And with the door down, I can reach up over the top there and just weld this. So we're just going to reach in here. Hopefully the ground is working. Alright, so we're not going to have that problem anymore. I've got a bead of weld just about halfway around that shaft. Now, if anything happens to this, that rod will end up breaking and it'll need to be replaced anyway, so it's not going to conflict with anything that we have going on here. It looks like there's a keyway sticking out right there too. That one's probably just too long of a keyway. I think I'm going to tack weld that there too. Alright, we got a small little tack on that as well too. That'll glue everything all together and we won't have to worry about that freaking keyway falling out again. So alright, we're going to get back to working on the 8110. We're not going to have any problems with that opener again because we've got that welded now. We have had that happen a few times now. Now what there is in there is a threaded rod, and that rod turns, and there's a couple of there's like little lobes or whatever on there, and there's a reversing switch on each side, and when that threaded rod turns one way, like when you're putting the door down, it runs the little lobe over and it hits against the switch to shut it off, and then it reverses it so that the next time you activate the door it'll go up, and then the next time that threaded rod moves the other way and the other lobe on the other side hits the switch on the other side for when the door goes all the way up. So in the event that the door comes out of time, whatever position the door is in, you just run your opener in that direction. It'll freewheel until it gets to the point where that proximity switch gets to where it's supposed to be. Then you stop it, and then when you hook everything back up, it's going to be back in time again. So we'll get back onto the 8110 now. Well, we got the reservoir. The overflow reservoir is off of the 8110. We got the thermostat housing off. We got the thermostats pulled out. Now we're just going to clean that area up with this little sander here. It's going to make the surface a little smoother where the O-ring of that housing sits down at. Here's the actual thermostat housing itself. We pulled the old O-ring out, slapped the new one in there, and then we've got the two new thermostats here. So we'll drop these down in there and then slap the cover itself on. Drop these in here like that. Set our cover into place. Actually, I gotta get my bolts. I need another hand here. I think. Maybe not. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get the bolts in there now. Done. We're just going to let it run, make sure we don't have any leaks. Then when I get some help here in a little while, we'll set the hood back on the old girl. In the meantime, I might as well work on the combine. Alright, we've got the headliner. Well, we've got most of the stuff taken apart here. And you can see where we've got a hell of a mess here. So I didn't dare pull it down any farther than that. I've got to get the vacuum cleaner up in here and vacuum all that crap out of there. And hopefully we don't break this damn headliner. It is a mongrel the way they've got that in there. It's stapled in different spots and it's just a freaking mess. So I got the vacuum cleaner down below there. We're gonna grab that and see if we can't vacuum all that crap out of there. So we got that all cleaned out of there. For a while I was hearing the corn just kind of moving around up in the headliner. I thought I had corn coming down over the roof, which, you know, there was nothing on the roof. And then the more I got tapping on the headliner, I realized that there was corn and stuff in there. So the top of the cab is not cracked anywhere or anything, and I got a feeling they just carried the stuff up in there. So we'll try to get this headliner put all back in there as neatly as it came out. It's not going to be as pretty, but we're going to try to get it to work. Yeah. Then we got to re-vacuum the cab out. Well, Travis has got this thing put back together. I ended up doing the thermostats on it, but Travis unbolted the hood and he rebolted the hood all back down here today. And we ended up putting a couple of new panels on here too. This side panel here was rusted out along with this one, and then the same with the other side. And then we've got some rust starting on the hood there, so we've got to address that at some point in time. But the thermostats are in it. It is ready to go back outside. We do need to put some front tires on this, but, well, they're getting down to the point where they need to be replaced sooner than later. But we've got new rubber on the back. So this tractor's got quite a few hours on it. I think 11,000 or something like that. But Nate washed her all off this morning. Like I said, this panel here on this side was replaced along with that little one there. And Jason's going to get putting a set of tires on a skid steer. And Jared's got this truck done. They're just rolling in with a new, some new exhaust parts. And they're going to use the original muffler. The muffler's okay on it. But Kerr ended up making a drop-down pipe that came off that turbo. That's almost like non-existent as far as trying to be able to get one of them. He ended up forging one of them together. And got that all back together too. So
you do have nuts.
New crannies in, and this is going to be race ready, right, Jared?
I'd say so.
So
Till next time.
Well, hopefully there isn't a next time. So. Well, we got the combine all ready to run the cast, so we got it all waxed up. Nate and Kerr waxed this the other day. Come out pretty good. Everything's ready for a week. We're going to run it to cast and have them go through a few things on. We do have a variable speed clutch that runs the header that's leaking up front there. And we want to have a few things checked on it other than that. So that's what she is.